Welcome to HFY Galaxy Tales. Like this video and subscribe the channel for more HFY stories. The emergency council chamber aboard the Velkrin flagship Sovereign Talon hummed with the kind of tension that made smart people sweat. Commander Thrace stood at the tactical display, all four of his primary arms folded in what his species considered a defensive posture, while his secondary limbs tapped an anxious rhythm against his carapace. He was staring at something that should not exist. A human. Smiling. "Explain this to me again," Thrace said, his vocal sac pulsing with barely contained frustration. "Slowly. Because I must have misunderstood the part where you said we have complete orbital superiority, full ground deployment, and yet somehow this single human female refuses to surrender her position." Lieutenant Voss, a younger officer with brilliant azure scales that hadn't yet dulled with age, pulled up the surveillance feed. The image crystallized on screen, and there she was. Captain Miranda Vale of the Earth Defense Corps, sitting cross-legged in what remained of Firebase Olympus, surrounded by the smoking ruins of her command center. Her uniform was torn, her face smudged with ash and dried blood, and she was absolutely, definitely, unmistakably smiling. Not grimacing. Not baring teeth in aggression as humans sometimes did. Actually smiling, like she knew something funny that nobody else had figured out yet. "Sir, she has been broadcasting the same message for the past 2 hours," Voss said, manipulating the controls. "She requests a formal parley. Says she wants to, quote, discuss terms, end quote." Thrace's mandibles clicked in what passed for a laugh among his kind. Terms. She has 17 functioning soldiers left. We have 40,000 troops on the ground and enough firepower in orbit to glass this entire continent. What terms could she possibly offer besides unconditional surrender? That is the confusing part, sir. Voss hesitated, his heat pits flickering nervously. She is not offering surrender. She is offering us one. The silence that followed could have frozen hydrogen. Fleet Admiral Corvin, who had been observing from the shadows like the apex predator he resembled, moved forward into the light. His species, the Drexery, had conquered 17 systems before humanity had even invented the wheel. He had personally overseen the subjugation of 6 civilizations. He did not appreciate comedy during military operations. "Repeat that," Corvin said quietly, which somehow sounded more dangerous than if he had roared it. Voss swallowed hard. "She says that if we withdraw our forces from Earth immediately, she will allow us to leave with our ships intact. Otherwise, she will, and I am quoting directly here, be forced to demonstrate why attacking humanity was a mistake that our species will regret for generations." Thrace laughed. Actually laughed, a sound like grinding stone. "This is madness. She is either delusional from blood loss or suffering from some kind of neural damage. Where is her backup? Her reinforcements? The rest of the human fleet was obliterated 3 days ago." "That is technically correct, sir," Voss said carefully. "However, I should point out that she has not exhibited any signs of injury beyond superficial wounds. Her medical readings are, well, optimal. Heart rate steady. No signs of psychological distress. And she keeps looking at her chronometer." "Her what?" "Timekeeping device. She checks it approximately every 90 seconds, and each time she does, her smile gets slightly wider." Corvin moved to the display, studying the human woman with the intensity of someone examining a particularly interesting bacterial sample. "How long until our ground forces reach her position?" 12 minutes, Admiral. Commander Wretch is leading the assault personally. He has requested permission to capture her alive for interrogation." "Granted," Corvin said. "But tell him to be cautious. Humans are unpredictable when cornered. They have this unfortunate tendency toward self-destruction if they believe it will serve a greater purpose." Thrace nodded. "Voss, patch me through to Wretch." The communication line opened with a crackle of static. Commander Wretch's voice came through, distorted by distance and atmospheric interference. "Wretch here. We are approximately 8 minutes from target. Encountering no resistance. Repeat, no resistance whatsoever. Commander, the human has been broadcasting requests for parley, Thrace said. She claims to have leverage. Be advised that this may be a trap. There was a sound that might have been Wretch laughing, if Velkrin could laugh, which they technically could not, but the sentiment was there. Sir, with respect, I am looking at thermal imaging right now. She is sitting in the middle of a burned-out command post with 16 other humans, none of whom are even holding weapons. If this is a trap, it is the worst trap in the history of warfare. We will have her in custody within 10 minutes. Just be careful, Thrace said, but the line had already disconnected. Corvin was still watching Miranda Vale on the screen. She had checked her chronometer again. 7 minutes now, if Thrace's calculations were correct. The human's smile had evolved into something that made his survival instinct scream warnings his conscious mind refused to acknowledge. Something is wrong, Corvin said softly. Sir. Look at her body language. She is not afraid. Not resigned. Not even angry. The Admiral's claws extended unconsciously. She is anticipatory. Like a predator watching prey walk into striking range. Voss pulled up additional data streams. Our intelligence on human behavior is limited, but based on available psychological profiles, this expression could indicate several things. Happiness. Amusement. Or, in certain contexts, malicious satisfaction. Show me the tactical map, Corvin ordered. The holographic display shifted, showing the planet Earth rotating slowly, marked with thousands of red icons representing Velkrin forces. They controlled every major city, every military installation, every strategic resource point. It was a textbook perfect invasion. Almost boring in its completeness. Except. Corvin's eyes narrowed. Voss, what are those blue markers? Those are human civilian settlements that we have bypassed, sir. Non-strategic locations. Farming communities, small towns, research stations. According to the invasion protocol, we ignore non-military targets until primary objectives are secured. How many? Voss checked his data. Approximately 8,700 distinct population centers, ranging from 200 to 15,000 individuals. Total non-combatant population of roughly 43 million. And where are they now? They are, well, still there, sir. We have surveillance on the larger population centers, but the smaller ones are considered too insignificant for active monitoring. Corvin felt something cold settle into his thorax. When was the last time we updated our population tracking? Voss paused, manipulating controls. Updating now, sir. The tactical map flickered. Then it began to change. Blue markers started disappearing. Not all at once. But steadily, methodically, like lights going out across a continent. Within 30 seconds, over 6,000 markers had vanished from the display. What is happening? Thrace demanded. Are we losing sensor coverage? Negative, sir. Sensors are functioning perfectly. Voss's voice had gone very quiet. The populations are just gone. No energy signatures. No thermal readings. No electromagnetic emissions. It is like they simply ceased to exist. Miranda Vale checked her chronometer again. 5 minutes. Corvin's mind raced through possibilities. Mass evacuation. Impossible, they controlled the skies. Underground bunkers. Their sensors could penetrate a kilometer of solid rock. Cloaking technology. Humans did not have anything that sophisticated. Did they? Get me the feed from Wretch's approach, he ordered. The screen split, showing the ground commander's perspective as his forces closed in on Firebase Olympus. The ruins were clear in the fading daylight. No movement. No defenses. No indication of anything except a small group of humans waiting patiently for capture or death. 4 minutes. Sir, I am getting reports from across the planet, Voss said, his scales paling to a sickly gray. Multiple ground commanders are reporting the same phenomenon. Human civilian populations are vanishing from sensors. We thought it was equipment malfunction, but it is happening simultaneously across all theaters. Thrace was watching Miranda Vale's face. She had stopped checking her chronometer. Now she was looking directly at the surveillance camera, as if she could see through it to the beings watching from orbit. Her smile had transformed into something else entirely. Something that made every prey instinct in Thrace's genetic memory scream at him to run. Corvin, Thrace said slowly. What if this was not an invasion? What if this was a trap? The Admiral's expression hardened. That makes no sense. We destroyed their fleet. We control their planet. What possible advantage could they gain from allowing us to? He stopped. Miranda Vale was standing now. She walked to the communications console, her 17 remaining soldiers moving with her in perfect synchronization. They were not defeated. They were not even concerned. They were, Thrace realized with growing horror, triumphant. She activated the broadcast. Her voice, when it came through, was pleasant. Conversational. Almost friendly. Hello again, Admiral Corvin. Yes, I know who you are. I know you are watching. I thought you might want a countdown for what comes next. She glanced at something off-screen. 3 minutes until my timeline expires. 3 minutes until you understand why humans have a saying. You know the one. About counting chickens before they hatch? She paused, and her smile could have cut steel. You never asked yourselves why our entire fleet engaged you in that one location. Why we positioned every major military asset in a single defensive sphere that you could overwhelm with superior numbers. You assumed it was desperation. Poor tactical planning. Human stupidity. 2 minutes. But you see, while you were busy destroying our fleet, while you were triumphantly landing your forces on our planet, while you were securing what you thought were strategic positions, you missed something important. You missed 43 million people. Normal civilians. Non-combatants. People you did not consider worth monitoring because they had no military value. Her eyes glittered. Those people are not hiding, Admiral. They have not evacuated. They are exactly where they have always been. But now, finally, after 3 days of letting you get comfortable, after 3 days of letting you commit your forces, after 3 days of letting you believe you had won, they are ready to stop pretending. 1 minute. Commander Wretch's voice burst through on the tactical channel, no longer amused, no longer confident. Sir, we have a problem. We are detecting massive energy signatures emerging from the civilian population centers. These readings do not match any known human technology. Whatever is powering up, it is big, and there are thousands of them. The tactical map lit up like a fireworks display. Every location where a civilian population had been marked was now showing energy readings that made their most powerful weapons look like children's toys. Corvin understood then. Too late, but he understood. Pull back, he ordered. All forces, immediate tactical withdrawal. Miranda Vale's chronometer hit 0. She smiled one last time at the camera. You wanted to see what humanity is capable of when we are cornered? Admiral, you are about to find out. The thing is, those were not just civilian settlements you ignored. They were manufacturing centers. Research facilities. Assembly points. And every single one has been building something very special for the past 18 months, ever since our deep space telescopes detected your fleet approaching our system. The first detonations began. Not nuclear. Something else. Something that made space itself ripple and fold. We call them void anchors, Miranda said pleasantly as the entire tactical map turned crimson. They create localized gravitational anomalies. Very localized. Precisely targeted. Like the space beneath your ships. And the space around your ground forces. And the space containing your supply lines. Thrace watched in frozen horror as 40,000 red markers representing Velkrin troops began disappearing from the map. Miranda checked her chronometer one final time. Oh, and Admiral. One more thing. When I said I would allow you to leave with your ships intact, I lied. The transmission cut to static. Then the flagship's emergency alarm started screaming. The Sovereign Talon shuddered like a dying animal, and Corvin had exactly 3 seconds to make a decision that would determine whether his species remembered him as a cautious leader or a complete fool. Alarms screamed through every corridor, emergency lighting bathed the bridge in crimson, and the tactical display looked like someone had taken a perfectly ordered battle plan and set it on fire. Report, he snapped, gripping the command rail as another tremor rattled his bones. Lieutenant Voss was frantically working his console, all 4 hands moving in synchronized panic. Gravitational distortion forming directly beneath us. It is pulling us toward the planet. No, wait, correction. It is not pulling. It is compressing the space between us and the surface. Engines are at full power but we are not moving. We are sinking into a spatial funnel. Thrace's mandibles were chattering, an involuntary stress response his species had evolved millions of years ago when running away was still a viable survival strategy. How many ships are affected? All of them. Voss's voice cracked. Every single vessel in orbit is experiencing the same phenomenon. 47 warships, 312 support craft, 6 fleet carriers. All of them caught in individual gravity wells. Commander Wretch's voice burst through the communications channel, distorted by interference and what sounded suspiciously like screaming in the background. Flagship, this is Ground Force Alpha. We are under attack. Repeat, under attack from, I do not even know what these things are. They just appeared out of nowhere. They are not using conventional weapons. They are using some kind of directed gravitational pulse that is crushing our armor like wet paper. Requesting immediate extraction. Flagship, do you copy? Corvin punched the transmit button. Wretch, extraction is impossible. All ships are compromised. You need to dig in and hold position. Sir, you do not understand. We cannot hold position because there is no position left to hold. The ground itself is folding. Buildings are inverting. My troops are being pulled into holes in space that should not exist. This is not warfare, this is nightmare physics made real. The channel dissolved into static. Corvin turned to Voss. Where is Captain Vale now? The lieutenant pulled up the surveillance feed. Firebase Olympus was still there, still smoking, still ruined. But Miranda Vale and her 17 soldiers were gone. The camera showed only empty ruins and drifting ash. Lost visual contact 40 seconds ago, sir. They moved into the lower levels of the installation. We cannot track them through that much debris and electromagnetic interference. Of course we cannot, Corvin muttered. He was beginning to appreciate the full scope of how thoroughly they had been played. Every assumption, every tactical advantage, every moment of confidence had been carefully constructed theater designed to put Velkrin forces exactly where humanity wanted them. Thrace was studying the tactical map with the expression of someone watching their entire career implode in real time. Admiral, I am seeing pattern analysis from the automated systems. The gravity wells are not random. They are positioned to create a network. Like a net. Show me. The holographic display shifted perspective, zooming out to show Earth from a distance. The planet was surrounded by a glowing web of energy, each strand connecting multiple void anchor points. And every Velkrin ship was positioned perfectly at an intersection point. They herded us, Corvin said quietly. The entire orbital battle. They deliberately positioned their defensive platforms to force us into these specific positions. We thought we were choosing our own attack vectors. Sir, we have an incoming transmission, Voss interrupted. It is human. Audio only. Same source signature as Captain Vale's previous broadcast. Put it through. The voice that filled the bridge was not Miranda Vale. This one was older, masculine, and carried the kind of amused authority that suggested its owner had been waiting a very long time to deliver this particular message. Good evening, Admiral Corvin. Or is it morning where you are? I always get confused with orbital mechanics. This is General Marcus Reeves, Earth Defense Corps Strategic Planning Division. I believe you have been speaking with Captain Vale, one of my finest students. I hope she has been a gracious host during your visit to our lovely planet. Corvin said nothing. What could he say? Reeves continued, his tone conversational, almost friendly. Now, I imagine you have questions. How did we build the void anchors without your intelligence detecting them? Why did we sacrifice our entire fleet? What exactly is our end game? Well, since you are probably going to die in the next few minutes anyway, I suppose there is no harm in satisfying your curiosity. Thrace made a choking sound. Vasa's scales had gone completely white. 18 months ago, our deep space observation network picked up your fleet. We tracked your approach, analyzed your technology, studied your previous conquest patterns. We realized immediately that we could not win a conventional war. You had superior numbers, superior firepower, superior everything. So we decided not to fight a conventional war. A new display appeared on their screens. Schematic diagrams of the void anchors. They were elegant, terrifying, and impossibly sophisticated. The anchors were built in plain sight, Reeves explained. Those 43 million civilians you ignored. Every single one was part of the manufacturing effort. Farmers became technicians. Teachers became engineers. Children assembled components in their schools. We converted our entire civilian infrastructure into one massive military-industrial complex, and you never noticed because you were too focused on our obvious military assets. Corvin felt sick. The fleet. The fleet was bait. Every ship, every weapon platform, every soldier in that defensive sphere knew they were buying time for the real weapon to be completed. They fought and died so you would believe you had won. So you would commit your forces fully. So you would position yourselves exactly where we needed you to be. The Sovereign Talon lurched violently. Warning klaxons doubled in intensity. Voss reported, hull integrity at 60% and falling. The spatial compression is accelerating. Reeves heard that somehow. Ah, yes. That would be the anchors reaching full power. Here is the thing about gravity, Admiral. It is patient. It is inevitable. And once you are caught in its grip, there is absolutely nothing you can do to escape. Your ships are powerful. Your technology is advanced. But you cannot fight gravity itself. What do you want? Corvin managed to ask. His pride was dead. His confidence was shattered. Now he just wanted his people to survive. What do I want? I want you to understand something fundamental about humanity. We are not the strongest species. We are not the fastest or the smartest or the most advanced. But we are absolutely the most stubborn, creative, and vindictive creatures you will ever encounter. You came to our world expecting easy conquest. You got a lesson in why that was a catastrophically bad assumption. Another ship appeared on the tactical display, this one broadcasting human identification codes. It was small, barely the size of a shuttle, but it moved with purpose toward the flagship. Captain Vale is aboard that vessel, Reeves said. She is coming to accept your formal surrender. Because that offer she made earlier? The one about letting you leave if you withdrew immediately. That was not a joke. It was a genuine opportunity that expired exactly 11 minutes ago. Now, you have a different choice. Which is? You can surrender your forces, power down your weapons, and submit to being escorted out of our system under guard. We will return you to Velkrin space with a message for your government. That message is simple. Earth is off limits. Forever. Attempt to return, and we will do worse than trap you. We will erase you. The human shuttle docked with the flagship's emergency airlock. Corvin could hear the magnetic seals engaging. Or, Reeves continued, you can refuse. You can try to fight. You can attempt some desperate last stand. And we will simply increase the gravitational compression until your ships are crushed into objects approximately the size of a briefcase. Your choice. You have 60 seconds. Thrace was looking at Corvin with all four eyes wide. Sir. The Admiral had fought in 17 campaigns. He had won medals for valor, strategic brilliance, and unwavering courage under fire. He had built his entire identity around the principle that retreat was unthinkable. But he was not stupid. Stand down all weapons, he ordered. Prepare to receive the human delegation. And send a fleet-wide transmission. All ships are to cease hostile operations immediately. Voss hesitated. Sir, the Council will view this as cowardice. The Council can view it however they want from the safety of their chambers back home, Corvin said quietly. I am responsible for 40,000 lives on this mission. I will not sacrifice them for pride. The 60 seconds elapsed. The gravitational pressure stopped increasing but did not release. They were still trapped, still helpless, but no longer being actively crushed. The bridge doors opened. Captain Miranda Vale walked in, flanked by 4 human soldiers carrying weapons that looked disturbingly similar to miniaturized versions of the void anchors. Her uniform had been cleaned. Her wounds had been treated. And yes, she was still smiling. Admiral Corvin, she said pleasantly. Thank you for the wise decision. Your crews will be returned home safely. Your ships will be released once you are clear of our system. But first, we need you to do something for us. What? She pulled out a small recording device. We need you to explain to your government exactly what happened here. We need you to describe how humanity defended itself. We need you to make it absolutely clear that any future aggression toward Earth will be met with consequences that make this look gentle. Corvin stared at her. You want me to spread fear of your species? No. Her smile faded into something harder, colder. We want you to spread truth. We are not warlike. We did not seek this conflict. But we will end any conflict that comes to our doorstep, and we will do it in ways that make our enemies wish they had never heard our name. She gestured to one of her soldiers, who activated a holographic display. It showed footage from the surface. Velkrin troops being extracted from collapsed spatial fields, disoriented but alive. Ships being carefully guided away from the gravity wells. Medical teams treating wounded. We could have killed all of you, Miranda said quietly. Every ship. Every soldier. We had that capability from the moment you entered orbit. But we chose not to because we are not monsters. We are just very, very good at protecting what belongs to us. Corvin looked at the footage, then at Miranda, then at the tactical display still showing the web of void anchors surrounding the planet like a crown of thorns. Your species is terrifying, he said. Only when we need to be. She handed him the recording device. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your departure? 3 hours later, the Velkrin fleet limped away from Earth, battered and humiliated but intact. In the command center of Firebase Olympus, now mysteriously restored to full functionality, General Reeves stood beside Captain Miranda Vale, watching the alien ships disappear into faster-than-light transit. Do you think they will come back? Miranda asked. Reeves shook his head. Not in our lifetime. Maybe not in our children's lifetime. We hurt their pride badly enough that it will take generations before they even think about approaching human space again. And the other species out there? The ones who might have been watching. They got the message too. Our sensors detected at least 6 other alien observation posts monitoring the battle. They all withdrew the moment the void anchors activated. Reeves smiled. Word will spread. Humanity is not easy prey. We are the species that built planet-scale weapons in civilian settlements while pretending to be defeated. We are the ones who sacrificed an entire fleet as a diversionary tactic. We are dangerous. Miranda nodded slowly. Is that what we want to be known for? No, Reeves said. But it is what we need to be known for. At least until we are strong enough that our reputation alone keeps us safe. Then maybe we can afford to be known for something else. They stood in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere in deep space, Admiral Corvin was composing his report to the Velkrin Council. He chose his words carefully, knowing that what he wrote would shape his species' policies toward humanity for decades to come. He wrote about power. About deception. About a species that turned its weakness into strength and its civilians into an army. But mostly, he wrote about the smile. The smile of a human who knew exactly how the story would end before the first shot was ever fired. And he made absolutely certain that every word conveyed a single, unmistakable message. Leave them alone.